Who am I and what am I for? These are like two fundamental questions of every human life that we all need an answer to and are very difficult to answer. Who am I and what am I for? The worst case scenario is actually not what you think. There we go. The second to worst possibility, okay, like the one that happens often, but it's not actually the worst case, is that we get the wrong answer or an insufficient answer, something like that, something that's like part of the truth but not really the whole thing. But that's actually not the worst. The worst thing that can happen is that we get no answer at all, and we give up and we stop looking. And that's like actually pretty easy to do because it's much, much easier to spend 12 hours on Instagram Reels or TikTok than it is to spend 20 minutes in quiet. You know, like it just is. It's more pleasant, it's more fun, time passes more quickly. But as long as we're there, as long as we're like engaged in that way, then we don't have to think, and the questions don't bother us. So it's funny because we're in the time where we have like more time, more capacity to think about these deep questions than ever before, but also it's harder, I think, for us than most people before us to answer these. Who am I and what am I for? They're difficult to answer, not only because there's a bunch of different answers that are given to us from all over the place, but anybody who's ever been an adolescent knows that you try things and they don't work. Who am I? Well, maybe I can just decide. Maybe I can just change and become something. Maybe I can be what I want. Well, then you find out, you try different things and you find out, no, actually, I guess that it doesn't fit, that wasn't wrong. That's not who I was, who I am. We're searching for purpose. Like, we get a lot of different answers from all over the place. Every commercial, actually, that you see, I just think commercials are fascinating in marketing, but every commercial that you see has a different version of who you are and your purpose, you know? Because the whole point of purpose is like, if I know what I'm here for, then I can fulfill my purpose. I can live with meaning. And the end of that, of course, even if it involves great sacrifice, the end of that is joy, fulfillment. So again, to go back to commercials, if you watch long enough, some commercials say that what you are as a consumer and what you're meant for is the most brilliant white teeth. And if you had that, then you would fulfill your purpose, you know? So you got to buy a lot of this toothpaste, and then you'll be happy. There's also, of course, all kinds of voices that say the answer to the question of what am I here for, and they're pretty loud, but it's a very common answer: nothing. You're here for nothing. Don't look for purpose anymore. So we all go through like stages of believing that, actually. Who am I and what am I here for? How do we find the answers to these questions? In the gospel, Jesus asks the same question that we ask, actually. Who do people say that I am? But he's not doing this because he's insecure or trying to find himself. Jesus knows who he is and he knows what his purpose is. But he asks his apostles, who do you say that I am? And Peter replies quickly, surely you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Peter knows who Jesus is. And so Jesus says, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And then it's almost too easy. It's like it's set up too easily for us in the gospel. Did you see what happens? Jesus asks, do you know who I am? And Peter says, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And then what he receives right after that is his identity, who he is, and his purpose. So Jesus says to him, so I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. Like it's set up too clean, you know. It's almost pedantic for us. Incidentally, maybe this is a little bit of an aside, but the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it, against the church. This does not mean that the church, like under attack from evil, won't succumb and won't be overcome. Gates are a defensive structure, not an offensive structure. So we're talking about the defense of hell not prevailing against the church. And the church on the assault, pillaging hell and breaking through its gates. So that's what we're talking about here. So here's what happens. Peter knows who Jesus is, and in that receives himself, knows who he is and what he is here for. And then from there, Jesus gives him this gift. I'll give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And this goes back to the first reading. That's about the steward, the vicar of the Davidic king in the kingdom of Israel. There's the king, there's the queen mother, and then there's the steward, the representative of the king, who wears the keys on his shoulder. And what he opens, none shall shut. What he shuts, none shall open. So Jesus says, what you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. He gives Peter power and authority, not for himself, though, actually, for everyone else, for the good of others. Now that he knows who he is and he knows what he is here for, now he's equipped for it. For each of us, this is the pattern. We want to know who we are and what we are here for. And what Jesus says is that actually God wants you to know that too. And we can't know it without him. Okay? We will either come up with bad answers, false answers, or no answer until we know who Jesus is. But actually, he's eager to give us ourselves. You were his good idea. We need him not just because he's our creator, but because we need redemption. We need Jesus to do something in us, to open our minds and hearts and change us, because our minds are darkened, and we believe in lies, and we don't know who God is, and sometimes we think what is good is bad and bad is good. We can't know this apart from the Lord. But again, so beautifully in the gospel, because Peter knows who Jesus is, now he can know who he is, he himself is, and what he is here for. This is the story of all of us. At the end of the gospel, Jesus says, it says, he strictly ordered his disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. Now, Jesus does this in a few different places, plenty of times, especially the Gospel of Mark. When this happens, after he heals someone, like he cleanses the lepers, it says he charged them strictly not to tell anyone what he had done for them. And whenever he heals someone and then tells them don't tell anyone, they just tell everyone, you know? They're really disobedient in that way. When he tells the apostles this, they do keep it a secret. He says the same thing at the Transfiguration after his glory is revealed. He says, now don't tell anyone until I have been raised from the dead. And they say, what does that mean? He strictly ordered his disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. So there's this command from Jesus to tell no one who he is. But this is like a temporary thing. It actually is only until the resurrection, only until the ascension, you know? What's funny, though, these two things about it. This is the command that is not a command anymore. This is the command that is the easiest to keep of all that Jesus commands. Don't tell anyone who I am. Like, we can do that in our sleep. Sometimes it takes some work. But, actually, very often, we disciples, we Christians, we who make up the church, keep this commandment of Jesus, even though it's expired, and he replaced it with, go and preach the gospel to all nations. So that's the first thing. It's kind of funny because we get it upside down. But the second thing is to understand that, as he says, strictly order his disciples, tell no one that he's the Christ. He's entrusting to them a secret, okay, a key. The church is the bearer of this secret, and it's not meant to be kept. It's meant to be kept safe, but it's not to be kept to ourselves. For all of us who know Jesus, who have received ourselves from him, who have come to know some of what we are here for, because we belong to him, he entrusts this secret. I wonder if we understood it as a secret to be kept, we would understand that we have something valuable, you know? But because we don't think of it as a secret, actually, sometimes we think of it as cheap, the knowledge of who Jesus is. What you have, what is entrusted to you, the secret and key that is given to you for the sake of others, is of great value, is the salvation of the world and the difference for the lives of every person that you've ever seen. This secret is entrusted to us, but we're not supposed to keep it. We're not supposed to keep it a secret. We're just getting into move-in weekend now at Grand Valley, and the members of the University Apostolate and the Focus Missionaries, they're here because we were on a little retreat this week getting ready. So they're the ones that are going to be out on campus and just meeting people and inviting them here. Why? Because what we want for every student and everybody around St. Luke is for them to know who they are and what they are here for. And the only way to know that is to know Jesus, to know who he is, and to belong to him. And so we invite them to know him. Like this is our great desire. If you're new here, and there are a bunch of new people here, I won't out you. I don't want to draw attention to you, but I see you. I know who you are. It's usually because your outfit says, I don't want to look like I'm trying that hard, but I was very careful about what I wore today, you know? So sorry. I was careful too what I wore today. Anyway, if you're new here, if this is your first weekend, then this is like the point of all of this. This is what we want for you. This is why we want you here with us, so that you can know the Lord and receive yourself, know the purpose of your life. Feel free. If I were you, I wouldn't do this. I would probably wait 6 months or something. But feel free to come up and talk to me or any of the missionaries or anything like that. I'm pretty shy and stuff, so I would not do that if I were you. But you're probably a little more courageous than I am, so you can just introduce yourself. But we want to know who you are, because we want you to be at home with us. We want you to be part of our family here at St. Luke while you're at Grand Valley. We have been praying for you, if you're new, for several weeks before this, and we're just eager to welcome you. This is the question that everybody has. It's the same for everybody. Who am I? What am I for? And to that, Jesus asks you this question: who do you say that I am?